unexpected party. In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. It had a perfectly round door like a porthole, painted green, with a shiny yellow brass knob in the exact middle. The door opened on to a tube-shaped hall like a tunnel. A very comfortable tunnel without a smoke, with paneled walls and floors tiled and carpeted, provided with polished chairs and lots and lots of pegs for hats and coats. The hobbit was fond of visitors. The tunnel wound on, going fairly but not quite straight into the side of the hill. The hill, as all the people for many miles around call it, and many little round doors open out it, first on one side and then on another. No going upstairs for the hobbit. Bedrooms, bathrooms, cellars, pantries, that there were lots of these. Wardrobes that he had, whole rooms devoted to clothes, kitchens, dining rooms, all were on the same floor. And indeed, on the same passage. The bedrooms were all on the left-hand side. Going in for these were the only ones to have windows, deep-set round windows looking over his garden and meadows behind, sloping down to the river. The hobbit was a very well-to-do hobbit, and his name was Baggins. The Baggins had lived in the neighborhood of the hill for the time out of mind, and people considered them very respectable, not only because most of them were rich, but also because they never had any adventures or did anything unexpected. You could tell him what a Baggins would say on any question without the bother of asking him. This is the story of how a Baggins had an adventure, found himself doing and saying things altogether unexpected. He may have lost the neighbor's respect, but he gained well. You will see whether he gained anything in the end. The mother of our particular hobbit. What is a hobbit? I suppose hobbits need some description nowadays, since they have become rare and shy of the big people, as they call us. They are or were little people, about half our height, and smaller than the bearded dwarfs. Hobbits have no beards. There is little or no magic about them, except the ordinary everyday sort, which helps them to disappear quickly and quietly. When large stupid folk like you and me come blundering along, making a noise like elephants, which they can hear a mile off, they are inclined to be at in the stomach. They dress in bright colors, chiefly green and yellow. Wear no shoes because their feet grow natural, literally soles, and thick warm brown hair like the stuff on their heads, which is curly. Have long, clever brown fingers, good-natured faces, and laugh deep, fruity laughs, especially after dinner, which they have twice a day when they can get it. Now you know enough to go on with. As I was saying, the mother of this hobbit, of Bilbo Baggins, was the fabulous Belladonna Took, one of the three remarkable daughters of the old Took, head of the hobbit who lived across the water, the small river that ran at the foot of the hill. It was often said that in other families that long ago one of the Took ancestors must have taken a fairy wife. That was, of course, absurd, but certainly there was still something not entirely hobbit-like about them. And once in a while, members of the Took clan would go and have an adventure. They discreetly disappeared, and the family hustled it up. But the fact remained that the Tooks were not as respectable as the Baggings, though they were undoubtedly richer. Not that Belladonna Took ever had any adventures after she became Mrs. Bungo Baggings. Bungo, that was Bilbo's father, built the most luxurious hobbit-hole for her, and partly with her money. That was to be found either under the hill or over the hill or across the water. And there they remained to the end of their days. Still, it is probable that Bilbo, her only son, although he looked and behaved exactly like a second edition of his solid and comfortable father, got something a bit queer in his makeup from the Took side. Something that only waited for a chance to come out. The chance never arrived until Bilbo Bagging was grown up, being about 50 years old or so, and living in the beautiful hobbit hole built by his father, which I have just described for you. Until he had, in fact, apparently settled down immovably. By some curious chance, one morning long ago, in the quiet of the wood, when there was less noise and more green, the hobbits were still numerous and prosperous, and Bilbo Bagging was standing at his door after breakfast, smoking an enormous long wooden pipe that reached nearly down to his woolly toes. Gandalf came by. Gandalf, if you had heard only a quarter of what I have heard about him, and I have only heard very little of all there is to hear, you would be prepared for any sort of remarkable tale. Tales and adventures sprouted up all over the place wherever he went, in the most extraordinary fashion. He had not been down that way under the hill for ages and ages, not since his friend the old Took died. In fact, and the hobbits had almost forgotten what he looked like. He had been away over the hill and across the water on business of its own since they were all the small hobbits boys and hobbit girls.